All right, here we are. I already tweeted out that the atmosphere here is electric at the utilities conference, so give me the nest. Just bring it up here anytime. So I'm Steve Lucas, and I'm the president of our platform group for SAP overall, which is a pretty broad area for the company. It's kind of fun because the great part about the platform organization at SAP, which I'm going to share a little bit of that with you today, is it's an organization that frankly didn't even exist 7 or 8 years ago at SAP, and now is over 50% of the company's total revenue. And it spans everything from database, as mentioned, to analytics, mobility, platform as a service, the Internet of Things. We have a thing here that we'll be talking about in a bit. By the way, we were going to plug this bad boy in and have it spinning around and all this cool stuff, but apparently there was something about getting your arm chopped off and insurance. And utilities don't care about insurance. Why are we talking about insurance here at this conference? So maybe you do. But anyway, so I'm excited to be here, and we were playing last night with this title. Should we call it the digital utility enterprise for maximum transformation, avoiding disruption? So we thought about that. Very compelling, very explanatory, way too long. And then we thought we'd do kind of this double entendre kind of fun thing, digital utility. So we're going to talk about how utilities, and I guess I should, on a little side note, in preparation for this meeting, I asked my team, what is a utility anyway? What is that? Because when you think about it for a minute, I'm always amazed at how, when you say the word utility or you talk about an energy company, how extraordinarily diverse their businesses are. Everything from energy trading networks to retail operations to mining and exploration. It's amazing. It really is difficult to say that this is a utility and this is all they think about. So we thought about this title quite a bit, and I realized that we put way too much, now talking about it on stage, effort into the title of a presentation. But when you think about it, it's that we want to help you walk away today from this keynote thinking about how can I get utility out of digital, as well as become a digital utility. Give me the nest. Give me the nest. Give it to me. I'm tweeting that one later. So that one's mine. No one takes it. So that's what we're here to talk about. And if I click this, does this change? And I know it's radio frequency, so I don't know why I'm pointing it. There we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's digital. So I thought I would kind of reach back a little bit in the Wayback Machine. And the reason this quote is important to me is it starts with my own father. My father is a nuclear engineer, has a bunch of PhDs that I could never hope to achieve or get in mechanical engineering and physics and other things. And he's a brilliant man. And you can imagine the disappointment on my father's face when I said, "Dad, engineering's not for me. I'm going into business." And literally you would have think that, that I became the black sheep of the family, but he's accepted it now 25 years later that I've turned out okay in this software thing. But my father had worked for utilities, public utilities, all the while that I was growing up. So Carolina Power and Light, that's what my life revolved around as a kid. Those are the parties that we went to. And so if anybody worked for CP&L, yay. I realize we're on the West Coast. Tennessee Valley Authority, my dad did a lot of job shopping, and so we moved around a lot. Worked for companies like Westinghouse. And to this day, the best way to get my dad and all razzed up, is just get into a debate with him about fossil fuel versus nuclear. Just get into that debate and get him all razzed up. And I always say, "Well, Dad, I saw this commercial for clean coal," and he always just kind of hikes up his boat. "Oh my gosh, let me tell you about nuclear," and it goes on for 3 hours. So don't ever do that. But I did want to bring this quote up because it's kind of interesting. So John McCarthy, said something in 1961, and I know that software companies, generally speaking, like to take credit for everything, right? That's generally what we do, and I'll do a lot of that today. So just prepare yourselves mentally for that. But it's interesting in that John McCarthy actually said in 1961, he commented on that computing may someday be organized as a public utility, just as the telephone system is a public utility. And I realize that we're not at a telco conference, but I think it's an interesting concept. And we all know that there were several books written 10, 15, 20 years ago on the coming of software as a service and comparing it to power companies and how they centrally can generate power and distribute that remotely. Now, we also know the industry's evolved now, so we have remote distribution facilities. We can have power distribution in your home with solar now. So the industry has evolved, just like the software industry has evolved, to where we live in a hybrid world where you can get power that's generated centrally and distributed, or you can also get power that's generated on site. There's all different kinds of things that you can do. But I thought this was a really interesting quote to just go back some 50 plus years and look at forward thinkers and how they knew the industry would change. Now, we've all heard, this is this slide, and I think the next one are what I would characterize as the terrifying statistics slide. These are the ones where you're supposed to look at it and just go, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to buy something to fix whatever that is. So this is the terrifying statistics slide. The one that I love actually on this slide is the one about the 403 trillion gigabytes of data. So it's much bigger if you call it gigabytes versus terabytes. So that's why it's 403 trillion gigabytes of data by 2018. And I shared this statistic last week with someone. I'll share it again. I actually did do the math. I can send you the spreadsheet if you'd like me to prove it, which is the thickness of a dollar bill, a US dollar. Not the length, the thickness. It's like 0.00007 inches. It's a very thin thing. And then I thought, well, if we were to look at how many dollar bills per kilobyte, not per byte, but per kilobyte, so we're being generous here, right? 1,000 bytes. How many dollar bills per kilobyte, if we started stacking them on top of one another, how could we represent this? And that stack of dollar bills would actually go from, we need to go from the sun to Pluto to kind of make the number a little bit more reasonable. And I asserted this last week. I will assert it again. I was at an academic conference of which I had 3 people come up to me afterwards and tell me I was wrong. I wasn't wrong. Pluto's still a planet because when I grew up, it was a planet. It's still a planet. And I don't care. And it's like everybody in the room, I told them, you were all wrong. You said it was a planet. You were the guys that were teaching me this 30 years ago, so sorry, it's a planet. But anyway, back to the main topic, because we're at a utilities conference. So if you took this data and you stacked dollar upon dollar on top of each other and represented 1 kilobyte of data for every one of these, think about it, that stack of dollar bills would go from the sun to Pluto and back 18,000 times. And you know, my badoomch is still not enough to pay off the U.S. deficit. But the point is, it's an unbelievable amount of information. And we're going to be showing you some of that today here with technology. So this is actually going to be a live demo. We've actually got we've got a couple sensors that, ergo, why it's not plugged in. We've got some interesting demos that we're going to show you today. But there's a really important point up there in the right-hand corner, and you're going to hear SAP talk a lot about this, which is the digital economy, or as I refer to them, digital economies, plural, because I really have this issue with the global economy. I think that we exist as businesses in much more compact economies that can be influenced and touched by other things, but we're going to talk about digital economies, plural. Now, these are the macro trends that are happening that are driving digital economies. And here's what I'm about to share with you. I'll give you kind of the preview. The preview, or the sneak preview, is that if you're a company that is operating, or you feel as though you're a company, an analog company operating in a digital world, and that's stressing you or straining you as your competitors start to do things like trade more efficiently in energy exchange markets. If you feel that strain or that pressure, Or you start to look at, well, how do I better tie the planning that we're doing in our upstream operations so that we can have more capital or more cash left over, be more profitable as we start to build out and do expensive exploration on the right hand so that we can plow that investment into more consumer responsive things in our downstream operation, whatever that may be. You're feeling that pressure. It's because economies are accelerating. And we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. So that's number one. Now, I do want to talk about this industry disruption that's going on. We had a debate last night about whether these are challenges or opportunities. So I'll ask all of you to just kind of sit back and absorb. And when you look at things like security, do you get a sense of fear or is it a sense of opportunity? The same thing for the customer interface or customer engagement. Is it a sense of fear or a sense of opportunity? And those things change how we feel. How we feel. When I look at things like security, I go, whew, I can tell you right now, and it's not meant to be terrifying, it's meant to be real, that somebody's network is being hacked. Somebody who represents a company in this room, your network, somebody's trying to hack your network. Somebody's trying to get in. It happens all the time. We know that. And so if you were to go back a slide and think about all of that data, right, that's coming in at us, network logs and mobile records, we know all of this is going on. And I can also tell you right now, somebody is walking some sensitive information out the door of your company on their mobile phone. And we're not stopping it. So security can be a challenge. It absolutely can be a challenge. But it can also be an opportunity. It can be an opportunity to be more efficient, more effective, to be a better organization. And all of these things, by the way, all of these, the new regulations that come at us, how do we deal with that every single day, whether it's the Nuclear Regulatory Commission or the EPA and on and on and on. And of course, engaging with our customers, financial restructuring, doing things like a distributed power generation where consumers can actually contribute to the grid. All of these are really interesting and amazing opportunities. They are. But at the same time, we recognize that there are challenges because we have to be able to get this stuff together. So here's the main point of all of this. I firmly believe, especially in the world of utilities, so whether we're talking about oil and gas, we're talking about nuclear, or on and on and on, or distribution or generation, whatever it may be, anything. The reality is that your economy or your economies are going digital. They are. Think about it from a financial services context. Does anybody wake up today and say, you know what, let's start a stock trading firm, but we're going to stick with paper? Paper is easy. I get it. Paper and pencil work. But the reality is it's absurd to think about it. Think about it this way. 20 years ago, just 20 years ago, the best rider on the best bike in the world that won the Tour de France. Okay? So there you go, 20 years ago. Now let's fast forward to today. If you took the best rider in the world today, even if you're Lance Armstrong and you're like, you know, I don't do steroids, but I really do. So you're Lance Armstrong, and you've got the same bike that you had from 20 years ago. So great, you know, we could get into this, but great cyclist, juiced up admittedly, but great cyclist, and take the bike from 20 years ago. Take the bike from 10 years ago. Could he win the Tour de France? No. No, because the technology has advanced the sport beyond the ability of the athlete alone. And it's the same today in utilities. The reality is that technology is advancing the business of being an effective and efficient, a digital utility beyond the ability of the company alone. The technology has. If you want to participate, I'm not talking about leading yet. We'll get to the lead part. I've got a really fun slide on leading. I'm talking about participating in your digital economy. Then the reality is you have to start thinking about becoming a digital enterprise. Now, of course, the most profound question today will be, well, what is a digital enterprise? What is a digital utility? What do you mean? And the great news is that that can mean different things. There is no one perfect definition, but we believe we have something unique and special that will enable you to begin your journey and become that digital enterprise, and that's the digital core. We talk about this all the time. We have and you're going to see it in my slide, it's the globy thing with the connected things, and it says digital core, and everyone's like, whoa, maybe we need that, but I'm not sure what it is yet. So I'm going to explain that, what it is, how it works, and how the digital core can be the beating heart of your digital enterprise that will enable you to not just participate in a digital economy, but win and lead. Be connected with your consumers. Be connected with your people and your employees. Become that digital enterprise. This is the thesis upon which we will base the entire presentation today, that the digital economy, or digitization, I can only say that once in a presentation. Try saying it 3 times in your head. It's impossible. But the digitization of economies necessitates digital enterprises, which necessitate a digital core. And so the real question today, this is the fundamental question. I'm going to put the clicker down for this one because this is most profound, is what kind of animal do you want to be? Do you want to be an ostrich? Frankly, they are embarrassing, they are gawky, and I don't care if they run fast. Nor do I care if they used to be dinosaurs. The reality is that ostriches hide from change. They don't like it. So when it comes along, they just stick their head in the ground. And the reality is that we can't afford to do that. You know, we could use terrifying slides like disruption, disruption, disruption. We could. I think we've heard that enough, and we know, and I think Jen established a really good point yesterday, that we have to be prepared for disruption. We do. But the whole way to be prepared for disruption, again, is going to be, throughout the theme of this presentation, have a digital core. It's going to be that over and over again. So you can be an ostrich. Now, some of you are in here thinking, well, I'm not an ostrich, but I do work back at the office next to a dude that's kind of an ostrich, kind of a thing. But the reality is we can't let our companies behave like ostriches. So then the next question is, well, are you a fish? They swim in schools. Are you happy being part of the school? We're middle of the pack. Our P&L is good. Our margin's fine. It's okay. Do you want to be pretty good? You know, one of my grandparents told me a story once about the pretty good person that wanted to have a pretty good life and have a pretty good job and had pretty good results. And the question they always asked me was, Steve, do you want to be pretty good? And I'd go, no, don't want to be pretty good, terrible. It's just burned into my DNA now. We don't want to be pretty good. We don't want to just follow other fish around, because the reality is fish are dumb. You put them in an aquarium, they swim around, and then they get to the corner after they've made one lap, and they're like, oh, this is new. I've never been here before. That's fish. We don't want to be fish. We want to lead. Now, you may think, I was going to give you like the scary-eyed predator animal, like the tiger, right? Have these like eyes poking up over the grass, and you're about to get eaten. No, leaders are lemurs. I'll tell you why they're lemurs. So if you've ever seen Madagascar, they are really, seriously. Here's why. Is because they've got a really healthy dose of paranoia. They're always listening for the rustle in the bushes because they know something could come and eat them. And it doesn't matter if you're the king lemur or you're the little lemur. And lemurs can actually get pretty big. They can be feisty. They have, digits with thumbs, dangerous animals. But the reality is that they are always on alert. Always on alert. They are agile, they're fast, and they're hyper-aware. That's why lemurs live in trees, amongst other things. But the reality is that we want to be lemurs. We want to be digital. Lemurs aren't digital. But we want to be agile and fast. We want to be hyper-aware, and having a digital core, which will get you on your journey to being a digital enterprise, which will enable you to lead, not just participate in the digital economy. That's what we want to be. So if you leave today and you remember anything, it's that I want to be a lemur. I don't want to be a fish. And I definitely don't want to be an ostrich. That was awesome. Now, on to the digital core. So now we're going to talk about this concept of a digital core. So I'm hoping that rewind works. Because if you remember the conclusion of the thesis, that you need a digital core. A lemur, back to the digital core. The reality is that this is the digital core. Now, people will say, well, okay, Steve, you got to break this down for me. What do you mean digital core? Here's what we mean. We really mean that the way that you operate your business with technology and business process, so think effective planning, business model, et cetera, and technology needs to evolve. Actually, it needs to go through a revolution, if you will, from an analog state to a digital state. And that's comprised of really two things. One, SAP HANA, my favorite product ever invented. And two, S4, which runs on top of HANA, and it's awesome because it's on top of HANA. And that's really a digital core. What we mean is that SAP has reinvented the very platform that your business can run on. Everything. We've reinvented it. And that's what I'm going to share with you in a minute. Now, before I get to all the other great stuff, because we're going to go to this slide, I'd like to explain SAP HANA. And I would like to do it without saying the words in memory. So, there are three really profound business questions that get asked by business users, I believe. And they get asked all the time. And, I know that we're all business users in this room, so, well, not all of us. There's a lot of IT people in here, too. But the reality is we know, because I'm a business user, is business users wreck it for everybody. They really do. Because they always come in and they ask these three questions, right? And you're like, come on, man, come up with a different question, seriously. But here they are. Question number one is, what did we sell today? Now, this is metaphorical. It could be, what did we buy today? What did we do? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what did we sell today? It's a profound business question if you think about it. And the traditional medicine that has been prescribed to us for the past 30 years by some very big enterprise platform vendors has been the following. Oh, you need a database for that question in the middle. And I don't disagree. I think that's a great answer. You need a database so you can say, sold this, make a copy of it there, check. Easy enough. But then comes question number two. And this is where the madness begins. Question number two is, well, okay, that's cool that we sold this today, but what did we sell yesterday? Metaphorically speaking, what did we sell yesterday? It could be 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So what is the medicine that we've been prescribed for the past 30 years? It's, oh, no, hang on a second. You can't use the database you just paid for, the one where it has the stuff from today. You have to pay for an exact copy of the same database, but we're going to call it a data warehouse, so you got to pay us again. That's the answer. And you're sitting here going, that's insane? It's the same kind. Okay, fine. So then we start building data warehouses or data marts, which we can sell lots of those because they're smaller and cheaper, but we still sell lots of those. But here's the problem. You just made a second copy of the data. You just copied it. Now, in and of itself, you're thinking, Steve, it's just a second copy of the data. That's as innocent as a baby chick. How could that possibly be dangerous? But the reality is then you say, well, hang on a second. Now I'm starting to get confused because the stuff in the middle isn't matching the stuff on the left hand when I look at these reports. So what's the 30-year prescriptive answer? Oh, you do have a lot of databases now. You need something that'll help you copy all that data between those databases, right? They're giving you aspirin, not a vitamin. We have a vitamin. In a minute, I'm going to tell you it's HANA, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh. So then the next question comes up, which is, what might I sell tomorrow? Which is the most annoying of all, because you're like, who do you think I am? Some kind of genie? I'll just come up with the magic answer? I don't know. Hopefully more so you as the business person can keep your job. But the reality is that these three questions, what did I sell today, what did I sell yesterday, and what did I sell tomorrow? The tomorrow one, now we used to call this forecasting, right? For like 30 years we called it forecasting. We call it predictive now because it's more expensive. But the reality is that it's forecasting. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then we go, but the 30 years of prescriptive medicine was, whoa, that whole database in the middle and then those bunch of other ones over there. This thing, totally different. We got to make another copy of your data, but this is going to require math. Oh my gosh, so we got to pay extra for math. So then we put the money into but you've made another copy of the data. Think about what is happening now. And then they're like, whoo, you know, that stuff that we sold you to copy all the data back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you got to do that this way too. It's madness. It's madness. It's more aspirin. And too much aspirin can give you an ulcer. And so the reality is, what we need is something different. What we need is HANA. Because HANA sits at the digital core. What HANA gives you is the ability to answer all of these questions with one copy of the data. I haven't said in memory yet. The whole point is what HANA does is it changes the prescription. Instead of treating symptoms of the problem, we treat the problem itself by giving your company the ability to say, I don't need to copy all this data all over the place to answer these 3 fundamental questions. I don't. I can use SAP HANA. Now, we recognize that you live in a complex landscape, that there's 30, 40, 50 years of invested technology, even way back beyond that. I'm sure more than one person in this room has had to go get some tape with data stored on it from 40 years ago once, sitting in an Iron Mountain location somewhere and pull it off to read it. I have no doubt that happens. We have these kind of, all the way from there to mainframe to client server to now the cloud. I know we have complex landscapes. I get it. But hasn't the utility industry evolved into complex landscapes? Can't I generate power at my house now? But the reality is that we collectively need to take a stand and say, maybe let's start treating the problem, not symptoms of the problem. And that's what HANA is. It is the core. It's the core. And what HANA has given us the ability to do is to write, I'm going to use my laser pointer. I've never done this before. I'm so excited. So, and it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. All right. Oh, no, it does work. Okay, doesn't matter. Up there, building this amazing application called S/4HANA on top of HANA, the platform. That's a digital core. It is SAP HANA, our new enterprise platform, which is more efficient, more effective, with a smaller footprint than anything else out on the market. It allows you to compress your data massively, store one copy of it, do many things with it, like analyze what happened yesterday and predict what will happen tomorrow. And it does all of that, yes, here it comes in memory, because it is an in-memory platform that is more efficient and takes advantage of the advancements in computing that have happened in the last 10, 15 years, especially the last 5. And so we're really excited about that. Now think about this. If you have a digital core, and you start to connect it up to things, like the Internet of Things in the lower left-hand corner, or you start connecting it to things like a supplier network in the lower right-hand corner, our Ariba network. Think about how powerful this would be. Here's the moment that you know that you're starting to have a living, breathing digital entity, is when you have a series of parts that you need for a particular substation transformer, for example, and that inventory gets low. Maybe it runs out. What happens right now when the inventory runs low or it runs out? Someone has to run over there and click OK. I want to eliminate that. I'm on a war to eliminate clicking OK. And here's how we do it. We have HANA with S4 go out and ask the supplier network automatically, hey, we need to reorder more of these. Guess what? Even if our supplier says, sorry, we can't deliver more right now, we can ask the supplier network, are there other suppliers out there that have this exact part based on our bill of materials over here in S4? And if so, can we get better shipping terms, rates, preferential tax treatment? Can we do all of that? And it just happens. That's the beginning of a digital enterprise. That's the promise of a digital enterprise. Oh, by the way, I just looked at the clock and realized I've been ranting for a while, and we've got some demos to show you. So I'm going to hurry this thing up. So the reality is that you may be sitting there thinking, well, Steve, I have digital things. We've digitized our wiring diagrams. We've digitized documents, whatever. But are you a digital enterprise? Are you responsive? Are you reactive? Can you do the things that I just talked about, for example? Or are you still clicking OK? So the digital utility in my mind, and then we're doing a dramatic tee-up for the demo. I'm going to bet that some of you have something that looks like this. Now, I would have built the Hadoop after this, but you bought some software from SAP. And then you have other systems too, SCADA, et cetera, all kinds of interesting systems, exploration systems, upstream, downstream, interesting things, from different software companies. But you've got some SAP. We know you've got some SAP, otherwise you wouldn't be here. That'd be weird. Well, if you don't have some SAP and you are here, you should buy some. So maybe that's why we're having this conference. So the reality is that you've got this core. Now, I'm not calling this core analog because I believe that this core can become digital vis-a-vis SAP HANA. Putting HANA underneath your core applications simplifies them, accelerates the business processes that you already have, and reduces the amount of effort that you have to put into actually supporting the system. So that's a no-brainer. So I know you have that. And you can improve by having SAP HANA on the right hand. Now, on the left hand, I'm going to bet as well, especially if you're a power company and you've installed a few smart meters here and there, you probably got something like Hadoop sitting around. And you're like, yeah, Steve, you know what? I got the best Hadoop out of this whole audience. In fact, I bet there's nobody in here that's got more Hadoop than I got. I got data left, right, and center. And here's the interesting thing. Is all of this data that you're collecting right now on the left hand in a data lake, is it even remotely connected to your core operations? Do you know, for example, that if you have to generate a repair ticket to send out a field technician to repair something in a substation, that might somehow be connected back to some type of vendor that you purchased it from? Do you know that? Is your system connected? Those are the kinds of things that we can start to do. But remember, the other part, just for everybody's sake, I'm going to ask for your permission in advance to go 5 minutes over time, because I know I was allotted like 40 minutes. But since the doors are locked in the back, and if we could just chain them, that would be great. I'm going to go 5 minutes over. But that'll give me some time, because this is like the super dramatic part of the presentation. We're crescendo is coming. It is. So you have the core on the right hand, and then on the left hand you have your edge. Now on the edge you may have things like thermostats and smart meters and giant tower things that maybe I climbed, maybe I didn't when I was younger. I know electricity is dangerous on those things, did it anyway. So you've got these things on your edge, on the edge of your network, and all of these things on the edge of your network are actually getting smarter. They have compute capability. There's chips inside them. Now, what's interesting is that today, largely, it's, well, we've got the edge and the core, and we'll draw some line underneath here going from edge to core, and we'll load a bunch of data in Hadoop. But the reality is that just because those systems maybe sit in the same data center, they're not going to like grow tendrils and like connect and start telling you things. And if they have, let me know, because Skynet has happened and we should all run for the hills. But the reality is that these things aren't just automatically going to connect. But we believe that we have technology like the HANA Cloud Platform that can enable you to connect these things now. So the HANA Cloud Platform, and I want to emphasize this, is our low cost, that low, platform as a service that is instantly available in the cloud today. So if you said, hey, Steve, I want to build the world's coolest app on top of some SAP stuff, and I want to do it in one day, me and my Java developer buddy that we go out to lunch occasionally. That's what I want to do. Then I would tell you to go sign up for a free account on hcp.sap.com, a free forever developer account, and build that app. Connect to your SAP systems. Connect to Ariba in the cloud. Connect to SuccessFactors and build that app. You can do that with the HANA Cloud Platform, but you can do more. You can connect to your edge devices. You can gather data, make decisions in the cloud. We even have technologies like, for example, event stream processing. Intercept data as it comes in off devices and make decisions before we even write it to a database. The HANA Cloud Platform is one of the newest technologies that SAP has introduced to the market, and it's one of the best. This is a killer app. It is low cost. You can turn it on right now. Go sign up for a free account and start building apps till you're purple. So beyond that, and I'm going to go ahead and welcome up Austin Swope to the stage. Everyone, if you could, my partner in crime here, Austin Swope. By the way, His Twitter handle is The Real Swope. So if you need him, there he is, The Real Swope. Everybody welcome Austin Swope to the stage. So the reality is as you evolve your landscape, and then maybe you make the decision to eventually move to S4, which we think you should, this is really what the digital utility starts to look like and how it's built. And we are starting to add, which we just announced, new products that deliver context, agility, and scalability to that architecture. Things like Vora, which is a plugin that sits inside of the Hadoop and Spark architecture that can deliver insight and intelligence right out of the gate, even if you don't own HANA. And we actually charge a subscription fee only for it. It's per year subscription per node. It allows your company to do things like let normal business users analyze data in data lakes, just like that, without any crazy programming. Oh, sorry. And then there's other awesomeness on a cloud platform. And then there's other things like business platform services. We offer tax calculation and computation. So you say, I just traded some energy credits with a company in Brazil. What's my tax calculation on that? Oh, I can actually ask that online through the HANA Cloud Platform. Interesting. This is the slide, and there are some of these customers in this room, and I want to thank you, but this is the slide where we're supposed to say, we do awesome things. The reality is that our customers do awesome things. These are amazing companies that have taken some powerful technology and have begun their journey to the digital enterprise. And they've done it with SAP. And that's what we want to do with you. We want to deliver these kinds of outcomes, more engaged customers, smarter grids, more efficient operations, and an optimized supply chain. We can do that together. We absolutely can. And these are the real results. These are the kinds of results that our customers are seeing today, both from a technical standpoint as well as from a business standpoint. These are real results. So we want to partner with you. We want to start on that digital journey with you, no matter where you are in that digital journey. So to talk about how our technology can give you more context, agility, and scalability as we become the lemurs of our industries, so to speak, Austin, let's take a look at what you've got.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. So Steve and I have been discussing this for a little while, and as we kind of share some of our campfire stories in the evening, it came up that...
Not literally around a campfire.
Figuratively speaking,
Sorry,
of course,
yes.
Sure. So it came up that a customer actually had made the comment that if we could make a wind turbine spin faster, they would buy HANA. And so we thought, let's get a wind turbine, let's spin it faster. I don't know if they specified their wind turbine or if we could just make ours spin faster, but...
We determined it would be any based on their broad statement, so they're going to have to buy after this.
So what we're going to do today is kind of go on the journey of how would we go from this hypothesis, can we make a wind turbine spin faster, through that complete digital transformation of making that a part of our business. Sound good?
Sounds awesome.
Okay, so Steve and I today are going to be, let's be business analysts. We're going to be business people today.
I'm all in.
So part of our organization, as we saw from the edge to the core, is all of this data coming in. And we've got our financial performance data, all those kinds of things that we would expect. Here you can see an example of power output from our wind turbines, and this is in our SAP Lumira Agile visualization tool. What we also have in here, we thought, if we wanted to figure out if our turbines could spin faster, we should figure out how much wind there is. So we can go and grab something like weather data. We can add that in here along with the other financial performance data, power output data, and then we can do a really simple visualization. So if we wanted to see what...
That's a compelling visualization there, that little dot right in the middle.
Right. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Right. Oh, that's better.
So there's our wind over time, and if we wanted to break that down by station, we could grab that in here too, right? So here's an interesting thing. There's a lot of wind out there. We have some peak time. Now, as we start figuring out these little bits of insights, we want to start packaging these together in a story. If we're going to go to our boss and say we're missing out on wind, we have to have something better than just a simple line chart.
Now, wouldn't I, in a traditional BI sense at this point, have to leave my visualization tool and go over to PowerPoint to tell that story?
Normally, we would take it to PowerPoint, but we don't have to do that with Lumira. With Lumira, we can go right into our Compose tab.
Oh, eat that, Tableau. Sorry, keep going. I'll keep my inner voice to myself from now on, after the presentation.
So here's where we're going to compose something. What we're going to compose here is an infographic. And an infographic for us is being able to take all these different pieces of visualization, string them together from beginning to end to tell a story. So here's our wind speed that we saw. We have wind. We're getting some more context. That's the goal of what we're doing here, is to gain more context on our data. So like I said, wind speed, we have wind direction. We need to know a little bit about the wind farm. So here we're looking at a wind farm outside of Palm Springs. We've got geolocation data that we can pair up with that power output data and do an easy visualization here. But most importantly, we can take this and we can start to build a model of the way that we think the world should work. So based on that weather, based on the geolocation, based on the equipment that we have out there, we can run a prediction. And so what we're looking at here, the blue line is the theoretical threshold for the equipment. The orange line is our predicted level of output based on all of these different factors. And the green is what our actual output is. So what we then are going to tell our bosses is that, yes, we are missing. We have a huge gap here where we're missing. We're leaving wind on the table, essentially.
We are leaving wind on the table. That is such a bad metaphor, but okay, go ahead. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah,
You just came up with that, didn't you?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Okay. All right. So here's step one on our transformation. We've gotten that context. We've gotten that insight. But what are we going to do with that? So if we're sitting around and we're brainstorming, we're going out to lunch with our Java friend developer, and we tell him, gosh, we're missing out on wind. There's something going on. Something's not optimal with the wind turbine. Maybe our developer friend would say, well, we should just have an app for that. Why don't you take that information, put it in an app, and give it out to the field? When they're there, they can figure out how to position these turbines or however the maintenance is being done on the turbine. So we thought, okay, well, let's get a workshop going and a steering committee and figure out how to get this implemented in the next 18 to 24 months, right?
Yeah.
No. Because the next step in our transformation is agility. We have the context, and now we want to have the agility.
We are lemurs.
We are lemurs,
okay,
bouncing through the trees. And so, actually,
that was a better analogy.
Right.
Way better.
And so we're going to look at this cool tool here called Build, that's a monkey. It's not a lemur, but it's a monkey.
Close enough. Monkeys, lemurs, same thing.
And so what Build is going to allow us, the business, to do is take this idea, we should have an app, and do some rapid prototyping.
This is, wait a minute, whoa. We're connected to the HANA Cloud Platform right now.
This is our UX as a service as part of the HANA Cloud Platform.
So you're telling me as normal human beings, not amazing developer, brilliant people, right? Just normal, we're normal people,
we're normal.
right? Mm-hmm. We're going to build an app?
We're going to go through and we're going to get it close.
Okay, all right, close enough. That's good. Close is good. I like close.
Close. Okay. So we're gonna skip this whole process of the developer asking us what do we need, and we say we'll know it when we see it.
Can we title ourselves citizen developers? Can we be that?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. Let's do that.
I like that.
Cool. So we're citizen developers now, and our number one tool as a citizen developer is a whiteboard.
Oh.
And so actually we have.
He's come well prepared.
There you go. So there's our app. So Steve designed that app. That's his drawing.
I did that.
That was really special, Steve.
That's as far as I got.
Everybody's really excited about your app.
A for effort.
So Steve drew his cool app out. We took a picture of it. So we've got some pictures of our little whiteboard drawing. And now what are we going to do with that? Well,
can I put this down?
Yeah, you can put it down.
Okay,
now.
great.
We have the pictures. So
actually, you know what? It's more dramatic if I hold it for a minute. So keep going.
So we're going to go in and we're going to create a prototype. We're going to just get a blank page here, open this up, open it. And now we're going to take the picture that we just drew and we're going to import it.
See, same picture, no smoke and mirrors here. Now I'm going to put it down.
Now you can put it down.
Although I'm not going to put it down on those really hot looking lights.
Don't put it on. No, don't put it on the lights. Okay, and we're going to zoom in. So there's another page, but we're going to skip it because we're out of time. So we've got the one page here, and what's great about this now is I can just grab some controls. We'll just throw a generic button up there. It's kind of in there. We can go in and we can set some of the interactions. We can do some of what we would expect to do. What we're going to get out of this is a working prototype. And this right here might be based on some very simplistic whiteboard drawings, but we can add those interactions in that would simulate an actual app. And then I can share it with the people that are going to use this. So we go from rapid prototyping, we get accelerated user feedback, and the end result is something that I can now take to our Java friend and say, this is what we want.
So we can turn a picture into an app. And I can tell you, there's a lot of companies out there that are going to say, oh, we've got this great enterprise app, blah, 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 building platform. This is where it's at. This is the technology that creates agility, being able to connect to SAP systems and turn a picture into a living app. Truly amazing.
Yep. Great.
Awesome.
Okay, step 2, agility. We're done. Okay, well, we're done with that step. We're not done with the whole thing.
Okay, last but not least, this big thing.
Okay, so we've got our cool picture, we've got our prototype, we've got our idea based on our insight, but our transformation isn't really done until it's part of the business. So we need to operationalize this. So we're going to have our Java friend developer build the app out for us, and it's going to look like this.
Okay, that's nice.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look kind of like my drawing.
Kind of like the drawing.
Okay.
We had to adjust a couple things. So if you want to go and just give that thing a whirl.
Okay, because this is actually live. No one's going to get hurt.
No, go more.
Faster?
Go. Faster.
Okay, they are sharp, by the way.
I know. Yeah, okay, so you can see the power output. So we have just a couple really simple sensors on here that are using the HANA Cloud Platform. Actually, that is sending live data through the
like
iPads
I'm on the
on
Price is
floor
Right.
here up to the HANA Cloud Platform. And the application, the dashboard that you're looking at is actually pulling from that same HCP, our IoT platform within there that we use. So there's a live connection. But what we see is that we've got this current direction is not optimal. And now it's super not optimal because you spun it all around. But that's OK. We'll manage. It's OK. It's all right.
All right.
OK.
It was fun.
So the feedback now is this is not an optimal position. And again, this is based on our modeling. It's based on the geospatial data, the weather forecasting. And we know that we need to go ahead and take action on that. So, well, yeah, why don't you go spin it around a little bit?
Turn this like.
So then rotate it, and there we go. Okay. Stop. Thank you. We're good. Okay. So now you can see that feedback has gone in here, and we've got the numbers have all been updated. Again, live streaming data.
Live demo, people.
Live demo.
That's what it's all about.
There we go. So we went from the hypothesis. We got some insights based on our context from all of the data coming together. That was the edge and the core coming together. We went and had an agile insight where we moved in an agile way to create the prototype and then brought that into the business in a scalable way. And the last thing is on here, our capacity now is 103% of that. Mm-hmm. So if we wanted to do something, if we wanted to really leverage the digital core and take this insight from one part of the business and drive another part of the business, we could then take an action on that 103% capacity and maybe sell it.
Austin, you are the king lemur. Awesome job. Thank you so much. Austin Swope, everybody. So as you've seen today, and we can go back to the slides, that context, agility, and scalability, these are all keys to your digital transformation. And no matter where you are in your digital journey, whether you're thinking about just getting started with SAP HANA or looking at S4 as well as some of our other cloud technologies, the reality is that we want to go on that journey with you. We absolutely know, that together we can build the digital enterprise. We can build the digital utility. I want to thank you all for your time today. It's been a great opportunity to share a few minutes with you. I hope that we get to do this again. I really enjoyed it. And I want to wish you all a fantastic rest of the conference. Thank you very much.